Welcome to AYGlobal, your dashboard for decoding the gears behind global trade. In early 2025, the United States rolled out sweeping tariffs as high as 50% on imported steel and aluminum. The shockwaves were instant. Automotive and manufacturing supply chains worldwide stumbled. But instead of stalling, 7 countries found fresh lanes, shifting focus from the US to Canada and forging new partnerships to protect their industries. So buckle up, because we're taking a high-speed tour through these 7 strategic pivots and how they're reshaping the global auto landscape. In March 2025, Brazil's massive agricultural sector, especially its beef, soybeans and ethanol exports, hit a sudden roadblock, a 25% US tariff. This move threatened up to $122.8 billion in annual beef exports alone, but Brazil wasn't about to hit the brakes. Within weeks, it locked in a $2 billion trade deal with Canada. The new route diverted beef to Alberta and Manitoba, soy to Winnipeg and Saskatoon, and ethanol shipments to Quebec. This clever detour not only rescued about 5,000 Brazilian ranching jobs, but also added 400 new meat processing roles and 250 grain coop jobs across Canadian provinces. And Brazil didn't stop there. It expanded ethanol byproduct sales to China, flexing serious trade agility. This sharp pivot proves how fast strategic thinking can keep economies moving even when tariffs threaten to stall the engine. And Brazil wasn't alone. Mexico took the next turn. When the US slapped a 35% tariff on Mexican auto components, regions like Ciudad Juarez and Monterrey took a direct hit. Enter the Triple North Corridor Alliance, an $8.2 billion lifeline that rechanneled everything from suspension systems to engine control units northward into Canada. This deal fired up Ontario's auto sector. Assembly lines in Windsor and logistics hubs in Brampton got a big boost. For Mexico, this trade route kept factories open and workers employed, but not everyone was at ease. Canadian officials raised concerns that Chinese-made parts might be sneaking into the mix, which sparked renewed talk about the USMCA agreement and the need for tighter bilateral controls. Still, this cross-border workaround shows how regional teamwork can outsmart tariffs and keep production humming. But while North America worked out the kinks, the Pacific had its own moves underway. Australia's mining industry, a cornerstone of its economy, hit a rough patch in early 2025. The US added a 30% tariff on raw minerals, including lithium and iron ore. Rather than slow down, Australia launched the Northern Stars Initiative, a $3.5 billion trade arrangement with Canada finalized in April. Iron ore was rerouted to Vancouver and Thunder Bay, helping Ontario's steel mills ramp up production by 18% by mid-year. Meanwhile, Australia's lithium producers partnered with a Canadian electric bus manufacturer, sending battery-grade lithium carbonate to Welland, Ontario. The result? Around 2,100 Australian mining jobs stayed intact, and Canada's EV sector got a surge in critical materials. This strategic redirection highlights Australia's flexibility and the rising global competition for the raw materials that power the future of transport. Speaking of energy transitions, France wasn't far behind. France's hydrogen sector faced a power outage of sorts in 2025 after the United States imposed a 30% tariff on hydrogen electrolyzers. Production lines slowed and, well, contracts were cancelled. To reignite the flame, France and Canada signed a $1.2 billion hydrogen infrastructure agreement in April. This deal protected 1,000 French jobs and created 850 new roles across Canadian provinces, from technicians to operations staff, all trained to work with French electrolyzers. France aims to reach 4.5 gigawatts of hydrogen capacity by 2030, supported by a €4 billion national funding plan. This partnership helps them stay on track while boosting Canada's position in the hydrogen race. And just like that, another battery powerhouse was ready to shift lanes. South Korea's battery industry faced a rough detour when the United States added a 20% tariff on lithium-ion modules, disrupting exports, especially to key markets like California. In response, LG Chem and Samsung SDI made a fast move. They secured a $1.7 billion deal with Canada's Northvolt, rerouting over 500,000 battery modules to cities like Windsor, London, and Hamilton. This wasn't just about saving face. It preserved 3,000 South Korean jobs and supercharged Canada's EV infrastructure. By mid-year, Canadian plants had trained 700 technicians to handle the complex Korean-built battery systems. Even bigger news came from LG Energy Solution, which announced plans to build the world's first 4680 battery cell facility in Chungbuk, South Korea, setting a new global benchmark. Let's keep the charge going. Denmark's up next. Denmark's renewable energy sector faced turbulence in 2025. A 30% US tariff on wind turbine parts caused project delays and sudden cancellations. But Denmark responded quickly, finalizing a $1.5 billion green energy trade deal with Canada by April. Under this deal, turbine components began flowing to Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan, safeguarding 900 Danish jobs and generating 1,100 new green jobs across Canada. Denmark's sights are long-term. It plans to double its offshore wind capacity, launching 3 gigawatts of new projects to drive global clean energy growth. Now to the last, and largest, economic detour on the list. Germany's powerful auto industry hit a roadblock in 2025 with a 25% US tariff on vehicles and components. Thousands of jobs and entire supply chains were at risk. But Germany wasted no time. It struck a $10 billion duty-free quota agreement with Canada, keeping parts flowing to Canadian factories and production on track. At the same time, Germany signed a separate hydrogen partnership deal with Canada, ensuring a steady supply of clean Canadian hydrogen to meet its climate targets. This dual-track strategy protected jobs, strengthened Canada's position as a partner in clean tech, and kept Germany's auto industry rolling forward, despite rising trade walls. The 2025 US tariffs sent shockwaves across industries, but they also revealed something powerful. Adaptability beats adversity. Nations like Germany, Denmark, South Korea, France, Australia, Mexico, and Brazil didn't wait around. They acted fast, pivoting toward Canada and forming new alliances that now shape the future of automotive and energy trade. These aren't just headline shifts. They're reminders of why resilient supply chains, international cooperation, and flexible strategy matter more than ever. So what do you think? Which of these 7 trade pivots do you think will have the biggest long-term impact? Do you see Canada becoming a central hub for future global car manufacturing? And how will this wave of trade realignment reshape global industries over the next decade? Let us know in the comments. You've been tuned into AYGlobal, your go-to stop for trade, tech, and transportation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. The journey doesn't end here. Catch you next time.